Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and welcome to Adventurous Music Fridays. Every Friday, I take a favorite record of mine, talk about it briefly. Nothing too in depth, but what my plan is to hopefully bring people to different records that they may not know of, and hopefully get some kind of dialogue and or community going around kind of interesting, adventurous records. And to me, that means a lot of things, but for the most part, it can cover anything, whether it's rock, jazz, whatever, progressive rock. It doesn't necessarily have to be super weird. It could be right down the middle of the road classic rock. But I wanted to talk about some of my favorite recordings in the context of my channel, talking about guitar, playing guitar, all of that stuff. So most of these records, 99% of them will have guitar playing in it. Maybe less, maybe more. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But today is quite a departure from the first 3 or 4 videos that I've done, and that is going to be Black Sabbath, Born Again. This is a record right after the Ronnie James Dio record, Mob Rules. They had hired Ian Gillan, the singer from Deep Purple, to come in, and it was one of these stories where they said they were in a pub or something drinking some pints, and Ian Gillan basically said, yeah, I'll do a record with you guys. And they rang him up the next day, and he wasn't sure what he had committed to. So that's the story. Who knows? But this record, I saw this tour, and in fact, an interesting story is Ian Gillan had like congas on, and he would kind of, he had a mic, but the congas were up front, and he would kind of play those and sing through them. And as much as I love this record now, that was the record that basically made me feel like I need to get rid of every hard rock metal record I had. I had a friend, and I basically kind of pulled all my records together that weren't like jazz or modern classical or whatever. And if it was Iron Maiden, Queensryche, Black Sabbath, Thin Lizzy, even weirdly, UFO, and then other stuff, I kind of just said, here you go. Here's like 150 records. So I don't know exactly what it was about that record that bugged me that much, or that show, I should say. I've always loved the record, but something about that show just triggered in me this thought of it's time to listen to other music and kind of put, Black Sabbath and all the harder stuff to the side for a while. So Born Again suffers from one thing, unfortunately, and it is a pretty dark sounding record. There's not a lot of clarity to it, but unfortunately, I believe the masters are long gone, and which is unfortunate because this record, if it were, given a modern treatment as far as remixing or even just remastering, which I believe they've done, would be incredible because the songs are very simplistic. It's almost like like Neil Young's Reactor album, kind of very silly, but simple words, all of that, and the lyrics are not like highbrow for sure. Some of the song names are trashed, which was kind of I think they did a video for that, almost sure of that. Disturbing the Priest, that's incredible. Zero the Hero is another favorite of mine. Born Again, Digital Bitch, Hotline, Keep It Warm. It is a very much underappreciated Black Sabbath album. And I think it's because, Ronnie was gone. Ronnie had 2 incredibly strong albums with Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. Love those records. Obviously, it wasn't Ozzy. But if I were to consider my favorite Black Sabbath albums, it would be probably in the top 5, Born Again. I would include in that list Never Say Die, which is not a fan favorite. It is to me, though, and it always has been. The first record, Volume 4. I'm not sure if it'd be Heaven and Hell or Mob Rules, but probably one of those. But I've always got a special place in my heart for Born Again because it was such a maligned record. And even sonically, it's as if, maybe, they didn't even care. But I think it's one of those records that is really enjoyable and really unique for the band and just for that kind of where we were at with heavy music at the time. And I believe this cover was another surprise. It's a baby where they had obviously put like fangs on it and kind of, adulterated an image or something. So it's a really cheesy, terrible cover, and the back's not better. It's like a negative image with, red and purple or something. Anyway, terrible cover, great record. Tell me your thoughts on this record. If you're a Sabbath fan or you've never heard this record and you like, kind of, it's, I don't want to say grungy, but it's just an interesting sonic album. But some great songwriting for sure. And they're they're pretty truncated. Like they're pretty short. There's not a lot of long guitar solos, all of that. There's not a lot of that traditional Tony riffing or Geezer riffing. They're just more kind of functioning as almost like a song with some parts in it. Like it's very different than any other record by Black Sabbath for the most part. You can obviously tell that it is Black Sabbath. You can tell it's Tony playing guitar and Geezer playing bass. If I remember correctly, drummer wise, Bev Bevins, the guy from ELO, did the tour, but Bill Ward did the recording. So I don't know what was going on with Bill. He's such an amazing drummer, such a big part of Black Sabbath and my music listening life. I listen to Black Sabbath probably more than almost anything else from what I listened to when I was 16. So I still listen to all of this stuff. So anyway, super cool record. Check it out if you haven't heard it, or if you have heard it and hated it, maybe give it another shot. Let me know what you think in the comments. But Black Sabbath, Born Again, one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums.